Hello, my name is Brianna, Kaleen, and welcome back to the Suffering for Art podcast, the podcast that explores the highs and lows of an everyday creative human. Today, we have two special guests. And when I say special, I mean special because they're my parents. Yay! Everybody's applauding for you.
Oh, thank you.
Or you better be. Yeah.
Thank you for the applause.
It's kind of crazy because my parents are low-key like amazing. They do a lot of stuff. They're authors, they're speakers, they have their own podcast called Couples Goals.
Our Couple Goals.
Our Couple Goals. They both correct me very nicely there. And they are now like relationship coaches and marriage coaches, and they help counsel a ton of people. My mom is currently getting her degree in psychology. My dad has his degree in theology. They're just great people, and they've been like this since I was a kid. And so if you ever wonder why I am how I am, it's because of them. But the reason why I have them on the podcast today is because I want to shift our focus. I've been doing a lot of mental health things on the podcast, but I want to shift to the relationship aspect of the podcast, the relationship to yourself, to others, and to your craft. We can have very bad relationships with all of these. And I think it has done a lot on our mental health, on our finances, on the well-being of others, on our impact on the world. I think those are all directly tied to how we treat ourselves, our craft, and other people. And so who better to come on and talk about this than relationship experts? So I'll stop talking and I'll just let them brag about themselves for a little bit.
We've been married 27 years, and we got married at 18 years old.
So it is.
And had all three of our kids by the time we were 23?
21.
21?
Yeah, it was
We
21.
had all three kids by 21.
Woo! It's
crazy.
That's why you should listen to us. But we were able to stay together, learn, rebound, pivot.
We built multiple businesses that are
Yeah.
successful. We've traveled the world,
We pastored.
and we haven't lost our minds.
Yeah. And we still look young.
You do.
Yeah.
You do. Guys, they're only like in their 40s, which is crazy. But literally people always ask, like, are those your siblings? Because they could be my siblings.
She could. My
We
beard,
get
my
mixed
beard
up.
gives it away.
We get mixed up all
We
the
do
time.
get picked. People think that she's my older sister
Yeah.
all the time, and they think that I'm the mom.
And her face sometimes actually unlocks my phone.
It does.
Yeah.
So now that you guys know why you should listen to them, let's get back to what we're talking about today, which is the hierarchy of relationships. How you should prioritize who you spend your time with, how you spend your time, why you spend your time with someone or something. I think there's this like revolution of self-care in the mental world, in the mental wellness world, where it's like if you take the bath and you do the candles and you have this special journal that's like gold encrusted, it's like you suddenly will be healed and everything will be amazing. And that's not necessarily the truth. Those things, in my opinion, are just bandages over some really real wounds that we have as a society, and they may help for a little bit, but then the wound is just going to keep festering and growing until you actually heal it. That being said, I personally think that in the hierarchy of priorities, that self should be first. And then my question to the experts is, what then would come next? Why is self first? All the things. So tell us the priority list.
Yeah, I think if I was to put together like a hierarchy of where we usually pursue things first, it's our survival mode. You know what I mean? Like in the art world, as creatives, I mean, money comes when it pops up. You know what I mean? And if it's not a whole lot of money flowing, then we also have a side hustle. And if you don't, you need one. But then on top of that, you'll need something else because you're trying to just keep your head above water. And so then what usually ends up happening is very important friendships, relationships take a back seat, or the relationships that we are building are in the name of our network, because our network can sometimes contribute to our net worth. So there's this constant hustle to either know this person or be in this place because you're hoping for a certain opportunity. So your whole world begins to revolve around your career, and even the relationships within that career if we're not healthy, can become very superficial. And at the end of that running, you can find yourself very empty. And so when we talk about the relationship to yourself, the real question I would say is, with the journal, with the therapy, with all the things, am I at a place of homeostasis? Like where I feel like there's a sense of contentment with who I am, what I believe in, my values, because it's only in that space of contentment that all of the labor that you do is from a place of rest, not from a place of trying to validate who you are from external success or the applause of anybody else for that matter. You have to work from a place of, I'm good and I'm solid, and so that's my thought.
Yeah, I think you're actually going to put in the most time and attention to the very thing of which you think will give you the greatest return, right? What's going to give you immediate satisfaction. And sometimes it is that talent, it is work, and we put what is most priority, ourselves and other people, behind that. And so we find ourselves in the rush of working in efforts to do what do I got to do next. I got my checklist. I have the things I have to do to make it in life or to succeed, where there's another aspect of you that's dying quite often and quite daily, which is the relational aspect. So whether that is with other people, but then also that is pouring into yourself. And so you find yourself chasing the dream, doing the talents and all the things without gas in the engine. And so we're not really fulfilled, and we're wondering why, because we love what we do and we're going and we're doing all the things, but what we're doing is we're doing all the things without major components, without pillars or standing blocks in our lives. And so we find ourselves very empty and very lonely.
Yeah. And so what compounds it is, if you go through a difficult season where you're not getting a gig, or you finally decided to make a product and you produced a song or wrote a musical or something, and you got done and you put it out there, and maybe it was rejected, or maybe you didn't get as many radio play, spins or something like that, downloads on whatever it is that you created, then now you're kind of frustrated on the career end, but it's compounded by the fact that you also didn't invest in the right relational equity. Number one, with yourself, but also with the healthy community of people that are actually friends. You know what I mean? Not some superficial stuff, but I mean some real deep, healthy community. So what ends up happening is then we end up on an island by ourselves, and all the manner of coping mechanisms that can come out of that, you know what I mean? Self-soothing, self-harm, frustration with, should I continue to pursue what I thought was my goal, and then just feeling isolated and alone in life. So for us, I think over the years, we have a solid crew that we feel like are friends.
Yeah.
And when I say friends, I'm talking about, I can call you when I'm going through hell. I can call you when everything is well. And what's weird about it is we realized for us, because we travel so much and because we have relocated to different cities, our friend group, the friends, like they are out of town, but sometimes we would connect with them, FaceTime, Zoom, but these were people that we were locked in with. Like, if we're going through anything, or if we just wanted to laugh, these are people we've had relationship with and maintained through long distance means that are worth it for us. And for some people, the city you in, the place that you live in right now, you might not feel like you can trust the people that are in the circle that you're around. But are there some friendships that maybe you've forgotten about that just need to be reinvestigated? Go back into some of those healthy friendships, because it'll help you. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you're surrounded by people at work, sometimes you can't find a best friend at the place that you work, and that job is going to be temporary anyway. So
Right.
you're going to be on to the next. Or the people that have come into your life or your community, you might be doing a musical, so y'all are together for a couple of months, but it's not a deepened friendship that came out of that. I know you've had situations where, you know, sometimes the cast and crew is great, and sometimes it's just like, I'm glad this one's over. You know, so how do you find the best friend there? It's like, that's not realistic to every single gig, and sometimes they're short run and short lived. So what you really want to find, and I think that's something that's been a core anchor for us, is we've found friendships where it's like no time has passed when we reconnect with them.
Pick up where we left off.
Pick up literally where we left off.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So you guys are saying, like, going back to the hierarchy, it's kind of like the priority is self, because in the creative world, you can pour so much of your craft out and then have nothing left for your own personal life.
Yep.
And then you would say it's probably what, craft or relationship next, would you say?
I would say,
Go ahead.
You
go ahead.
I would say the relationships. Personally, I'm gonna put work after my relationships,
Why is that?
because work can come and go. But
then some people would say friends can come and go.
well, I think that then it would go into a discussion that we would often have with our girls, especially, is what's the difference between associates and real friends.
Right.
And then
Tell us the difference of those. Tell us the difference of those. Because what he's saying is that you should prioritize your relationships over your craft, which for a lot of creatives is, you don't see it as possible. Because in order to survive, in order to make money, in order to go after the dream, the whole reason why you went to college for it, the whole reason why you moved out of all your friends and family to go to this big city to do the dream, the whole point is the craft. And so then if you're telling me to put the craft last, then these people really better be worth it. And what he's saying is,
Yes.
there's the difference between people who are worth it and who are not. So tell us the difference between acquaintances and real friends.
I think friends are the family you choose. They're people you can trust. They're people you can confide in. They don't have to be your therapist. They don't have to have all the answers, and they don't have to be perfect, but they are faithful.
And they're available.
They're available. They might not call you right back that moment, but you ain't losing it.
Yeah.
You don't have an anxious attachment with them. Therefore, they'll call you back later that day or the next day, and everything is all good. They're the people that'll show up in the hospital with you. They're the people that you can call on, and they have been there for you, and they will be there for you, and vice versa. You'll be there for them, but the standard isn't perfection between y'all. So the friction that typically happens within most relationships is kind of tit for tat. You know, you look for perfection, and perfection is warranted back and forth, but that's not what we're talking about here.
I think people look for perfection, but I think people look for healthy relationships are reciprocal.
Yes.
So they're not just one-sided.
That's what
so
I'm saying.
that is a very good indicator of an associate versus actual friends. So if I'm friends with you, I'm getting something out of the relationship, and you're getting something out of the relationship. Now, there are going to be seasons where I'm needy, and I need you a little bit more
But
than
it
what
can't-
I can give to
It
you.
can't be that all the time.
But it can't be that all the time. Whereas an associate is almost like a coworker. It's like, okay, I'm connected with you because I can get something out of it.
Or we're just in the same
Proximity.
circle.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
proximity.
You're just close enough to where I see you often, but we don't connect in a
Right.
way that's like, if I'm going through and I'm going to call you.
Right.
There you go.
It's just, I've seen you a lot because you live in my building.
And
or
there's nothing wrong with having associates, and there's nothing wrong with having friends. You can have both. I just need you to understand the difference between the two, because when you are going through hell, or when you get denied that audition and your heart was set on it, or when you're going through in your family and you just really need
Right.
someone with a pure heart to talk to, the person that you don't want to pick up the phone and call is an associate, because
Right.
they have no stake
Yeah.
in the relationship.
And I also think that friends are family you choose, and they not only can laugh with you, they can cry with you. They know how to rejoice with you when you rejoice.
They're not
And
jealous
they know
of
how
you.
to weep when you weep. It's not a jealous thing, but at the same time, they'll tell you the truth when you need to hear it. And I think if we can get that, if you were to ask me the criteria of the folks that's in our camp, they push us towards our dream. They encourage us. So when I put it another way too, the reason for this hierarchy, when we thought a dream job was the dream job, and we got it and worked it for a year or two, but then it was a new season that was coming and it was time to roll. Guess who was there to encourage us to make that move? It was the friends. There's a season when your job's gonna be done. And after that job is done,
who do you have?
Who you have?
What do you have?
What do you have? You know what I mean?
Right.
And so a career can come, and Lord knows, I don't wish on nobody a broke foot or a knee or something like that. But when you out of work, are you now less of a person because you don't have that job?
Right.
Because you can't do the craft that you love. If I lost my voice and I'm a singer, does that make me less of a person? Am I less valuable? No. I shift, I pivot, and I figure out another way to be creative. I also think that there's a proverb from one of the wisest people who ever lived. He said, iron sharpens iron, so another man can sharpen another. And I think that sometimes if you've been in the trenches with somebody in different seasons of your life, and the strong version of you, the authentic version of you came out, and they just crumbled under that, they were wood, they were never iron. And so if you want to know the difference between a real friend, sometimes there can be friction, but it'll make you stronger. They'll tell you the truth and you'll grow from it. And that's what we have. They encourage you. And so I think that that's hard to find, but it's worth it when you find it. And it took us some work, but we didn't quit on that pursuit. The other piece that I would say about the reason why I think that having a sense of wellness within yourself and contentment with who you are, meaning I don't need the applause, I don't need a certificate, I don't need accolades, I don't have to have 100% success in my career field to have a sense of homeostasis. I'm cool. I like what I see when I look in the mirror. I'm content with who I am. When she can say that and I can say that, and then I got a friend that can also get down with just being chill with who I am, authentic in life. What actually happens for your career is you can create beauty and you can have joy. You will be your most creative self in a pocket of community with people you can laugh with, bounce ideas off of, gel with. You are healthier, therefore the products that come out of you are healthier.
100%. There's something to be said, like all the time, actors will say, how can I portray a character if I've never lived? Right? Like as an actor, I'm just telling lived experiences. But if I, as an actor, have no lived experience, then my craft is not going to be the best that it could be. And so a lot of my teachers in college would tell me to just go live. They would say, go experience things, and while you do, observe other people, because you're going to be able to fuel your craft in a different way, right? So the same thing goes for every single creative thing. If I'm a singer or a musician and I haven't heard anyone else play music, it's like you're kind of pulling from an empty well, right?
Yes.
Or if I hear the birds chirping, then that can give me a song. Or if I hear the trains, that can give me a song. Having these different ways of living, whether it's through touch, through sense, through hearing, through seeing, all the things will allow you to have a better creative experience. And people with their experiences and going out with them in their joy and going out with them in their laughter gives you different tools in your tool shed for when you want to be creative. So not only does it help you when you're going through the trying times, when you want someone to celebrate with, but it also allows for your creativity to expand to new places, because the perspectives of people in your circle is what we're meant to have, right? You don't want everybody who's had the same perspective as you. Your circle should look diverse, not just in color, but in age and in where someone grew up and the level of money someone grew up with, right? All of those gives you a different perspective on life and therefore a different perspective on creativity. And so in the order of hierarchy of putting yourself first, because you can't pour into other people if you're empty. You can't pour into your craft if you're empty. And then number 2 would then be relationships, because those will allow you, once you're full and able to be in these circles of people who are also healthy and full, will then give you the creative spark and the juice to be creative. They will also give you connections that you might not have without them to people within the creative fields. They will allow you to, during the trying times of getting a bunch of no's, to pull you out of the isolation of thinking that you're down in the dumps and you're nobody, to then say, actually, let me correct that. I know who you are. I've been with you. You've done this, and this. You're better than what you're thinking right now. So that priority list sounds really great, and all of that is important, right? The self, the others, and then your craft. But a lot of people will say, well, I don't have time for friends because I am trying to build my craft and because I'm trying to allow myself to have the financial stability to be able to go out with friends instead of working 3 jobs, or to be able to put my craft in the back seat because I have enough funds if I don't do a project right now to then go out with my friends. So the question is, when someone is trying to fill their self but does not have the stability or the homeostasis to say, I'm healthy enough to think in that order, what do they do?
I'm going to be honest. If that mindset, and I get survival, because I know survival. I know having no food, not a dollar to my name. We know what it's like to start with 0. So we understand it. I also know that a person who is feeling like they're drowning and overwhelmed and they're panicking, what ends up coming out of that desperation, even if you get success, what comes out of that desperation is an adoption of an unhealthy culture. That even when you finally feel like, all right, I got a little money, it births something in you that creates a fear-led momentum, and you never will become aware enough to snap out of it and get to a place of, well, you know what, I do need friends. You know what I mean? Because the issue is now, let's say I finally just dump $1 million in your account, but you never develop this mindset that says, like, I need air to breathe. I gotta have healthy relationships. Like, I need sunlight to help me, function. I need to also not let my career be the thing that drives me, even at the expense of my own well-being.
So you're saying shifting from a scarcity mindset to a mindset of?
To a mindset of, I would say, connection. I would say connection with myself and connection with others.
Yes.
Because I can have $1 million, or I can get the best gig and I'm set for life. But then, like, if my mindset is off, if I treat myself badly from a physical standpoint, if I don't value who I am, then the money will simply echo what I'm already thinking.
You'll gain stuff and lose your soul.
Yeah. Right. So, like, if this is a simple thought, but if I'm already eating unhealthy, okay? If I'm already eating the worst of the worst, and my mindset is I'm not worthy of the best, but I get $1 million, the $1 million isn't going to change my mindset about what I think about myself. The $1 million is simply going to enable me to continue in the behavior that I've been doing without the $1 million.
Yeah.
So I'm still on this journey of unhealthiness, not being connected, being lonely. So the money or the fame simply magnifies that.
So this is what we see all the time with celebrities who are at the top of their game and then they end up overdosing, or they end up taking their own life, or being bankrupt, or all of these things, right? So, or even something as simple as getting nodes, right? Like a singer who's at the top of their game and then, like, their body fails them, or an athlete who is getting injured every season. Like, it comes to a point where the fame and the glory and the money doesn't help the health of the person. And I think the mindset shift is less in the wanting for more, because there's nothing wrong with wanting more.
Agreed.
It's in the shift of why you want more.
Yes.
And what you're willing to sacrifice to get it.
Right. Yes.
Because if I want more, right? I want my dream of being a singer and being on Broadway and all the things. But the reason why I want it is because I'm scared to not eat. Or I'm scared to be lonely forever.
Right.
Or I'm scared that I'll never be enough. Or that my identity is worthless.
Yep.
Right.
Then once I finally get it, I will still think, what if I don't have friends?
Yes.
And you look around and you don't have friends because the whole time you were working for the dream and not for relationships.
I saw a video of one of the actresses from the hit TV show back in the day, A Different World. And she was one of the main characters. It was Freddie. And she made it big. It was the #2 sitcom, #2 most watched show at that time. And she said that the show was coming to its 6th season. It was about to come to a close. and she got done, and she said no one was thinking while they were doing the show that as it came to a close, that the next season was going to be hard. And she said she just knew. She's a main character. The show was a hit show. It was at that time with Cosby and all that other stuff, and it was huge. It was, and it came to a close, and she said the phone calls did not come in. No one called. The money stopped. It was as if it was a fleeting thing. It was big, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. And she was losing money, ended up staying at a friend's house. And it was another person who had to call her probably like 6 months away. She literally was almost out. So it was like, it's a fleeting thing. It's so dangerous to think that, oh, I'm set for life because now people know me. They love me. The money's going to pour in. And it was a delusion, you know? And it was, you know, she got a phone call from a friend who connected her. She had to still go get the next audition, go grind, get some more money. And I think that when we enter into performing arts, music, social media, whatever, we want to be influencers. We always need to do what you just said, which is check motive, and we need healthy relationships. There's a high that comes with people seeing you on platforms. We've spoken on stages where we were speaking to 5 million people at once. Okay? At once. That is an amazing crowd.
And if you're not careful, you can get the big head.
You would think.
And you need friends to just slowly
Come back down.
Not all. I'm gonna just pop it. Pop that bubble right now.
Because after you get done, you still got to pay bills.
Right.
You still need a sense of homeostasis.
And you still have to book that again.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It's not like you don't get to a place, even people who are at the top of their game don't get to a place where it's like they do a big thing and it's a guaranteed next thing.
Absolutely not.
And so it's like that scarcity mindset at that level could even be more harmful than at a level where you have nothing.
Yeah.
Because you go from having nothing to building up to something huge. To going back to nothing.
To not even a phone call.
Exactly, because you never changed your mindset on what your priority should be.
Yes.
And if you go into that top with an unhealthy self, no relationship to others, and a craft that has overtaken your life, when you lose the craft, you have nothing around you.
So I would suggest, like, for Lanette and I, what we had to do, and she was really great at doing this for us, was, we scheduled at least once a quarter quality time for us to meet with friends that we trusted like that. And when I say once a quarter, it was because it was long distance. So we were doing Zooms, or we would be in town, and we were very intentional in saying.
Now we probably do it at least once a month.
Yeah. So once a month. So we're not talking about, when we're talking about having friends, we're not talking about you going to live up under them all day long.
Now, there are times where we'll go over somebody's house, 3 days in a row, and we're staying over there for till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. That's fun. That's great. But that's not all.
That's not the norm.
Right. It's not necessarily sustainable if you have a full-time job and are like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
And don't add to that, you're doing that plus you got a kid or something else. It's just not realistic. So for us, that's enough because the quality of that time, it's really not just quantity of time, it's the quality of it. So you connect, cool, that was enough. And then from that, I think that's when the journaling, getting sunlight, taking a walk, exercising, doing all the things that do give you that sense of like, I feel good, my energy's good. And then you got to grind, and you do have to work.
But you're grinding on a better foundation.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're grinding at zero fuel in the tank, then you're not really grinding at the best level you could be, which means you're probably not even making as much progress as you could be if you were taking care of yourself and all those things.
That was my mistake.
Yeah.
So, my final thought is like, I was the one who I can really shut off the world. It's just a natural tendency of mine. I can go into my own zone, be in my own world, and I just grind it out because. Oh, she did it.
All right. That's not me, guys. That's my mother. If you're watching this episode, if you're not watching and just listening, that was my mom.
So hustle is a thing that came for me out of survival. It was feast or famine. You know what I mean? You got to work, you got to grind and all that. And so I could go so far into an isolated place that I can cut off community and I can cut off and just be focused on the next thing. And so what I had to learn was like anything I produced in those seasons, though those things were good, the after effect was burnout. The after effect was the work was good, but it wasn't my best. The after effect was I was on an island, and I love what I created musically and production wise when I was actually at rest with my friends. When we created together, I produced like 7 albums. When I was producing those albums with friends, it was great. And it was just a whole different experience. I didn't feel like it, but it's hard for me to get into that mode. So there's some of, those who may be watching and listening and we're more introverted, or we're just used to doing life on our own because we don't trust other people. And I would say it's so much better. It's so much better when you allow yourself to rest and know that you do have to have a mindset to hustle, but you don't need to do it from a place of emptiness or loneliness.
You know what? I think that's a great place to close. Because though I think we could talk about like how someone gets out of the scarcity mindset, like practical ways, or like how somebody would approach friendship or how somebody would care for themselves. You can listen to my other episodes in this podcast.
That's right.
And I talk about that often. Or you can also do coaching through both of their services. So, we're going to leave that to that. But I will say the things that we covered in this episode, the prioritization of what you should value, right? We have ourself, others, and our craft. If you aren't healthy, you cannot make a healthy craft. If you are not healthy, you will not have healthy relationships around you. If you have no one around you, you are full of loneliness, which is directly tied to suicidal thoughts, to depression, to anxiety, to burnout. If you want to look up the psychology, you can. If you want a better life, then it is better for you to work in that order, to prioritize yourself, others, and your craft. And then from there, see your life thrive. Yeah. Everybody say thank you, Mom and Dad. If you want to find them on social media, it'll all be linked in the description of this episode, as well as their website and their own podcast. And yeah, I'm so happy to grow with you. I'm so happy to learn with you. And I will see you on the next episode of Suffering for Art.